What is happening, fishers? So this evening we're going to do a breakdown, not a full breakdown, of the Okuma Salina 14,000 that I purchased early December last year. Fished in the reel for 9 months now. Haven't done any maintenance on it. It has fished, I don't even know how many hours, and it has caught well over a ton of fish on it already. So this reel has worked really hard over the last 9 months. So I decided last week fishing that I think I should give it a breakdown, replace some of the grease and the oil on some of the bearings. The only maintenance I have done on the reel so far is I've been oiling the bearings as I'm going. So if you can see, looking at the reel, it's been fished with hard. I do fish extremely hard with my equipment. I don't look after my stuff very well. I should learn to. So it's got some scratches on and nicks and things like that. Some of you guys are probably freaking out, but that's just the way I am. I put it down on the rocks. So I've pretty much been fishing this reel with 50-pound braid. So this reel been fished with lock drag on some of the non-eds we have caught. So this reel has definitely been punished. The idea of this reel was for my medium heavy setup to target reggies, regular-tooth sharks, or sand tigers, if you guys are overseas, and not other non-edibles, flatfish and whatever else comes along. So let's do a breakdown. Let's get stuck into it. Let's start pulling this reel apart and see what damage, if any damage or anything that's occurred. The reel has only got better over time. So I'm really interested to see what it looks like inside. So let's get cracking. So I'm not a reel servicing expert, so we're not going to do a full reel service. We're going to do a breakdown, open the side cover, clean the grease out and replace the grease. We're not going to disassemble the whole reel into parts. Just a simple, quick service. You guys should be doing your reel every 6 months to a year. So let's get onto it, guys. So I'm going to start. First thing I like to do is get the spool off. And I like to run things left to right. So now we have started. The spool will go there, and I'll put the whole reel, body of the reel, one side for now. So pretty much we're going to start with servicing of the spool first. So pretty simple, guys. I like either use Q-fish or Q-gun. It's pretty much the same thing. They just give it a little bit of a clean. If there's any sand, no corrosion, anything that's happened there, show you there and there. Everything looks nice and where it should be. Nice little waterproof seal, still intact. No sand, no grit. One thing is not a sealed reel. Some of the main, more important bearings on this reel are sealed. But it's not a sealed reel, and I do wade with it. It does get wet, it gets dunked. So I am using this reel in places it shouldn't be. Nice thing about the Okuma Salina, DFD drag, dual force drag, so there's drag washers at the top. There's a little bit of sand and stuff that's penetrated there, and a set of drag washers at the bottom. So what we're going to do is either a flat 1 or flat 2 screwdriver, little clip on the top, just hold this because it normally shoots all over the place. Let's get that clip out. Pop him next in the line so we know where to put him back. Stack of drag washers out. And then we're going to lie them out exactly how they came. We start at the top. 1 stainless washer, carbon, stainless, carbon. It should run in that sequence. And that's it, guys. There's a bit of a wear on the drag washers. Not too much at all there. So you'll see a little bit of carbon, a little bit of darkness. Put the spool one side. And all I'm going to do is just give them a nice little clean. Get all the old grease off. Q-tip works quite handy. If you use a Q-tip to get into the places, get all a little bit of gunk out. Or earbud if you're in South Africa. But there is a bearing in the middle of the spool as well, so we'll oil that up also, a roller bearing, before we seal this reel up. That's nice and clean. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm using a product, Duathlon. They come with specific greases things, so we're going to use their power drag grease. especially for drag washers. There's a lot of hype on there. Do you oil your drag washers? Don't you oil them? You don't want to be putting the wrong sort of lubricant on your drag washers. Imagine a set of brakes in your car. You don't put oil on your brake pads on your car because you want them to stop. But the power drag grease is the stuff you want to be using, and in very small amounts, guys. So we'll open this little container up. Very, very thick, high viscosity, as you can see. What I do is I just take my finger a little bit off. This is my reel cleaning table pad, so I just take a bit. I'll smooth it out. I take each drag washer one by one, and I just take it, and all I do is just pull it through. It gets a very light coat of grease on each washer. Only on the carbon washer, you don't have to worry about the stainless ones, the stainless spaces in between. And that's it. That's all it takes. What I'm going to do is start to stack over again. Remember, we started from left to right, so we'll start right, back again, so we know the order of our washers. Washer in, spacer, washer, separated spacer, so you just got to make sure that gets into the right place there. Washer, spacer, and then the circlip to hold it in place. Little flat screwdriver to action again. It does get quite tricky, guys. Just make sure you're in an environment, if it does fly across the room, you can find it again. And there we have it, nicely seated again, everywhere it should be. We'll repeat the process on the bottom. Okay, so we've removed it has one big carbon washer at the bottom and one stainless steel plate to handle in place. And then it has the ratchet system, which I'm not going to take apart, guys. I'm not a reel technician, so I'll leave that. It looks nicely clean and oiled and stuff like that. So I'll leave that just in place for where it is. When I do give the reel a full breakdown service, I will take that mechanism apart. Or send it into an expert. Just greasing that as before. Placing back where it belongs. And then the stainless steel plate once again over the top, and here comes the fun part, is getting everything lined up here. Okay, so I've attached the steel washer to the clicker plate. I'll put the carbon drag washer back, just make sure it gets into its slot. Drop the washer and the plate back in. And it's back where it should be, and then the circlip back. And there we have it. The top of the reel has been serviced. Let's give it a little touch of Q-fish to give it a nice clean, so it's nice and polished and looking like a new reel again. Q-fish and Q-gun, either one of them, they both work. Even Q20 works brilliantly for cleaning reels, guys. Gets a lot of corrosion off, gives the reel a nice shine afterwards, and makes it look brand new. Okay, so spool, pretty much quick service on the top of the spool. Put that one side, and now we're going to move on to the main parts of the reel, guys. Okay, we're going to start off by taking the handle off. One of my favorite features of the Salina is the big power handle. The power knob on the handle spins very freely, especially after 9 months. So my favorite features, also full anodized handle, super strong. There's no movement in this handle whatsoever. That's one of my favorite features of this reel. Even under a lot of torque, there's no distortion in the handle or any of those things that, while we're talking on distortion and things like that, a lot of your lighter reel Salina is a very light reel for its size of reel. It's made of something they call light cast, which is 15% lighter than a normal aluminium reel. So for a reel like that, normally you start getting a bit of play and stuff in the handle and stuff like this. The Salina, even under the most pressure I've put it under, has never buckled yet. which was a really good feature on it. So let's get the screw-on handle off. Nice thing about it with the screw-in handles, obviously it can be fished as a right-hand reel or left-hand reel without having to change any mechanisms. Handle off. With the other side. Okay, so the next thing I've done, little T8 torque screw, just taking the bottom cover plate off, guys. I won't be opening this reel, getting down to the gears and stuff tonight. I don't find a reason to open the reel. The reel is still smooth as butter, so I don't like to play with things that don't need to be played with. One thing I did notice, trying to open this reel, very, very well put together. It's quite a process to actually get into the gears and things like that. I think that making one of the key factors that this reel, the grease hasn't gone a bit weird and stuff in this reel. Even being a non-sealed reel, it is almost impossible for water to penetrate this reel to the top. I've just pretty much had a look at taking the main rotor off. I got as far and I actually just stopped because I thought there's no reason actually to go inside. When I saw the way this reel's built, that there should be no fluids or something penetrating this reel or sand penetrating this reel, and the reel is still smooth. There's no reason to go fiddling where we shouldn't be fiddling. I'd rather send that into professional to actually have it looked at. So carrying on from there, what I've done, I've just removed the bottom cover. The only reason for removing that, do a lot of bait fishing. You'll see you'll start getting a bit of build-up with bait and things like that, all these little grooves. So it's pretty much just for a clean, guys, to get all that old gunky bait out there. Just going to run it. So at least the reel's happy that he's not full of bait and all sorts of gunk and stuff that's been sitting in there for 9 months. So he's happy, he's looking nice and shiny again. And the same side, this side. Just a little clean out. Just rub it with a bit of Q-fish. And he's nice and shiny again. Pop him back on. Should be a little clip that side it pops onto. Slide him in and on. Little screw in place. And a little T8 torque driver. It'll be the same for all the screws on this reel. What I like about using the reel using the Torx drive, you don't have to worry about stripping heads as you would with a Phillips or a flat. The Torx definitely does not strip as easy, guys. I wish all the spinning reels were to convert to this, as the engineering industry is turning in that way. So a lot more things are coming with Torx, and that's it. He's back in place. Next, we're going to move to a little bail arm assembly, guys. Another key feature on the Salina, it's got a very stiff bail arm. It does take a little bit more effort than some of your other reels to flip it over. But the big benefit of that is when you're putting those bigger casts and you don't have to worry about your bail arm flipping over and getting unnecessary snap up. So it's pretty much the second thing I love most about the Salina. Really stiff, good, it's got a super good spring inside of it. So it's a really manual bail arm, but never once have I had, as you can see, it stops. Never had it. Once have I had this thing flipping over on me during a cast, which makes life fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, another nice thing to service there is into the line roller itself. So we're going to pop that off. Once again with the T8, pop them in place. You should just pop off. And a little bit of a salt water left there. Obviously not clean my reel well enough. And he's still running nice and smooth, so we'll just give him a little bit of a spray, clean all that corrosion off. And he's still spinning nice and smoothly, being a bearing. Nice thing about these, I think it'll be the same as a Tesoro. It should just click and pull out. Exactly the same as the Tesoro is built up, guys. Give him a nice clean, and then on the little bearing, we're going to put just one drop of oil there, and one there on the inside of the bearing. Spinning around a few times. I can really feel it smooth. One thing you also need to check on all your spinning reel all the time. A lot of the spinning reels out there, even some of the high spec ones, they often have problems with either the bushes wearing or the bearings in there seizing up, and that's definitely what you don't want. You want your roller bearing running nice and smooth on your line roller. When they do seize up, your braid, obviously with it not turning, causing a lot of friction on the braid, heating the braid up, and you start getting snap ups and burn offs and things like that. So you always want to make sure that is running smoothly, guys. One of the most important parts in the reel, especially for fighting bigger, stronger fish, whether you're getting a long runs and things like that. Very overlooked by a lot of fishermen, but I think that is the most important bearing on a reel to me. So making sure that is running nice and smooth. So we're just going to give them a little clean up, the rest of it a little clean up. Just my fingers, there's not too much corrosion and stuff going on there, and pop him back in place. It's pretty simple. Pop, twist, make, turn, line him back up. Get all the little corrosion off the screw. And pop him back in place. Do you make sure if you're fishing regularly that you always check? It's one of the first screws to come loose on the reel. And it can cause chaos if that screw falls out during a fishing trip. You're not going to fish for the rest of the trip. Nice and tight, not over tight, guys. And then while we're there, I'm just going to check they'll make them still working beautifully. Just going to make sure those screws are all tight as well. Tighten him up a bit. Did notice the other night he was coming a bit loose. That was the main reason actually looking at this reel. It is nice and tight, and then the cover plate. We're checking all the screws are nice and tight in their place. Just going to do a quick little, we'll speed this one up, quick little clean while I can get on the inside here, all the parts. Okay, there we have it. Line roller bearing has been oiled, really shining like a new reel again, besides the scratches. Everything's nice and clean. I'm going to go into the handle, the bearings on the handle. 2 drops of oil, guys, you don't need more than that. One either side. Flip them over. Drop of oil either side. And what I'm going to do, there is a little bit of salt water buildup and stuff on the plate there. Good old trusty Q-fish. Try not to get it on your bearings. Don't believe it's good for your, well, I don't like it on my bearings. I'm just going to give the reel a bit of a polish there, just to pretty much get the corrosion out the way. Guys, there's nothing negative I can find about the reel. The only thing, if I had to be really thin, the little anodized coating does come off after a while, but that's very hard fishing that's caused that. I've obviously nicked it at some stage and it has started peeling off, but that is only cosmetic. It's not going to affect the reel whatsoever. If it does happen, you can always take them off, completely off, give them a light water paper and spray them up with a good epoxy paint and it'll look brand new again. But that is my own fault from dropping my reel down onto the rocks and chipping the paint off. And there we have the reel. So we're going to pop back to the handle. But I do like a 2-piece handle, so we're going to pull it apart. Sometimes you get a bit of corrosion and sand and stuff built up into the handle, so make sure that, see, as you can see, it's a little bit tight. There's actually some corrosion you can see there, guys. So we're going to do good old Q-fish. Give him a wiggle for a while, he'll loosen up. Give them a clean off. And then what I like to do, that being apart, so what we're going to use is the semi-fluid grease. It's pretty much a very low viscosity grease. we'll use him to put inside there. Just a little bit thicker than oil. Keep him nice and smooth. Q-tip again. Not much at all, guys, as little bit as possible. Take the Q-tip, get a bit in there on the shaft. Run some that side. And he's going to keep him getting nice and smooth. There we go. Big difference already. Make sure there's no cotton in any buildup, as you can see from putting my bait on. I've actually got some bait cotton. It's a very common thing that happens on your reels. It's going to make your reel feel tight and feel like it needs a surface, but it doesn't actually need a surface. So make sure you get rid of all that bait cotton out there. And there we have it, guys. He's good for go. So we'll just pop the handle back on the side. Try that again. My hands are so oily now. Handle nice and screw back on. Make sure there's no sand or grit in your cover knob for that side. Spin him back on. And just make sure there's a little roller inside there as well. So drop oil in there as well. Spin him around a few times. He's still spinning nice and smooth and getting quiet. I did find that this reel started a little bit of a squeak about 2 months ago, but 2 drops of oil and the squeak went away. So obviously it was getting a bit dry. Another place you also want to make sure you're not getting braid and bait cotton and stuff stuck inside there. The reel is quite easy to take off the handle, I should say, with the reel. Okay, so let's pop him back on here. Spool back on in place. Tighten him up again. Make sure the drag's working. Drag under tensions feels good. You can almost full lock it now. Nice and smooth. And then a loose drag just to make sure those drag washers are seated properly. Beautiful, guys. Exactly what we want. I do suggest once servicing your drag washers, play with your drag for about 2 or 3 minutes afterwards, run it through, out, in again, just to get those washers to seat correctly back into their place, or to keep spinning the spool for a while to get that grease through all the washers and things like that. And there we have it. The reel is put together, looking nice and shiny, nice and new. I don't mind leaving a bit of Q-gun overkill on the reel. We are close to the coast, so just save the reel from corrosion. So a quick, we won't call it a service at all. We'll just some general reel maintenance. I think that's what you need to be doing. Even if after a hard weekend you can get home, it's going to take you 15-20 minutes. You can give your reels a bit of a clean, especially if your reel does get especially dunked in the salt water. I suggest you do that straight away once you get home, or actually open the reel up and have a look. So anyway, besides the cleaning of the reel, let's look at the Salina. So I chose to fish the Salina. It was a bit of a, I would have called it a gamble in the beginning. I was looking for a reel at a reasonable price point, something I can afford, especially, it's actually more for edibles and very small and non-edibles. But it has performed beyond its expectations, guys. It's become my non-edible reel. I definitely like to target a bronzy or a big grey shark on this. Unfortunately, it only comes in a 14,000, so you're not going to have enough line capacity, guys. You're getting about 400, 450 meters of 50-pound braid. But I think it would be actually up to the task. So we'll have to, hopefully the guys at Okuma decide to make a bigger one. But anyway, main features I like in this thing, guys, the drag, super smooth drag. After this thing being abused, dunked in water, dumped on the rocks, drag is flawless, hasn't changed. No flex in the reel at all. Handle's nice, big power knob on the handle. It really feels like you controlling a reel of 18 or 20,000 size with the power knob. Obviously, let's put a lot more power into every one of your revolutions. The water does not get, I mean, the reel does not get water in at all. I don't know how, somehow for a non-sealed reel. Bail arm, obviously one of the key features on it, guys. Still smooth as daylight. Beautiful reel. I think, listen, if you're looking, I think they're coming in under 3,000 Rand. I don't want to talk money here, but if you're looking for a reel in this particular price bracket, I think this is definitely the one to choose. I know I've got 2 of the other brands out there in similar sizes. Don't get me wrong, they performed extremely well, but after 6 months, I could feel a difference. 9 months down the line, I could feel a bit of a deterioration. With the Salina, there's been no deterioration over those 9 months, which that's pretty much impressed me the most. And also the ability, it fishes 50 pound. I'm talking top spec 50 pound braid with almost locked out drag, where other reels in this sort of price range, you pretty much fish 20, 30 pound braid with them. 50 pound braid, locked out drag, your drag starts getting horrible, starts jerking and things like that. And you start putting a bit too much pressure on the main gears and things like that on those higher drags, where there's too much tension being pulled onto the gears. So I think a Salina does fish above its punching, what's weight class. Let's say pound for pound in this price range, I think hands down, it is the winner, guys. I know it is available in a 10,000, 8,000, and I think a little 6,000 is available as all. I haven't fished with the lighter ones, but definitely, if you are looking for, if you're in the Eastern Cape or in West Africa, a lighter, non-edible setup. I'm not saying it won't handle the bigger fish. I just think line capacity might be the problem. That is the only thing I can find wrong with it. The line capacity wouldn't be there. And I think a beautiful reel for, besides rock and surf fishing, I think for the guys on their skis, the guys doing jigging, I think this would be a fantastic reel, guys. It's really got the punch you want for your slow pitch and your fast pitch jigging, so it can handle bigger fish. Also, guys, I think throwing poppers and things like that for some game fish. It's not massive where you don't want a 20,000 size reel. You want a 10 or 14,000 size reel. I think this is definitely something to look at, guys. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this little maintenance on my Salina. Definitely go out and buy one. If I had some more money in my bank account, I'd go buy one, guys. So my point in the Salina, buy one. It's definitely worth it. You will not be disappointed whatsoever. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Hope that was insightful. Keep your reels clean, keep them spinning fast, and we'll see you all again soon. Cheers.